There it is.
Oh.
Oh.
Call the
Yeah.
meeting to order. Stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice.
Everybody's here. Kristen's virtual. Okay, opening discussion. Ms. Ferreira will discuss the reopening plans.
And I know Bonnie needs to
I'd
be
like
allowed
to say
in.
something.
Lisa, can you go admit Bonnie?
Okay.
Or have Jen do it? It's the only bad thing of not having Tina here. That's up in the middle of the screen. It should say admit. It's all right.
Am I on?
Yes.
Yes, we were admitting Miss Paddle. So that
Can I
means she's
speak?
in.
Hold on. Go ahead, Dr. Magano.
I'd like to first thank Tracy and everyone else who took part in putting that plan together. We have a great plan, a plan that covers the buses, covers the elementary and senior buildings. The only thing that it hangs on is the state allowing us 3 feet instead of 6 feet. But I said to the team, let's put the plan in place now. So it's not going to hurt the kids, it's going to protect them more. And why not do it now? I think they'll have a harder time turning it down when it's running.
Okay.
But Tracy will explain why the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th grades are different.
Yep.
Okay, if the New York State Department of Health and the Sullivan County Department of Health decide to follow CDC rules, we want to have some things in place. And again, this is all contingent on their approval and their changing of their regulations. So we do, I do have an addendum to our reopening safety plan that was turned into the state in September. We do hope that all of our kindergarten through 8th grade students will return to in-person learning. If a student remains on virtual learning, then we will continue in synchronous instruction as we have done since September. That's also to take place in case there are students that have to quarantine due to COVID cases. Now, regarding everybody's talking about the 3 feet rule. Even the CDC says, and this is what we're working with, K through 6, and I kind of broke it down for K6, 7, and 8, and then 9 and 12. K6 students will be at least 3 feet apart because of their ability to cohort, meaning they stay with their class all day long. Now, on top of the 3 feet, it's not just 3 feet at all, just alone. It is universal mask wearing by all the students, the teachers, and the staff throughout the school day, including in transit to and from the school, which we have been doing since September. Students' desks will continue to face the same direction. Student desks will also we have purchased desk barriers to help mitigate the spread of COVID-19. So not only a mask and the desk facing in the same direction, there is a desk barrier. The desk barriers are 2 feet high by 2 feet wide, and they're 1.5 feet deep. So it does give, and it has some flexibility, so for the bigger desks or smaller desks, we can make sure it fits. Now, when students cannot wear their masks as such while they are eating, 6 feet of distancing will continue to be enforced. We will also continue, as we have done in September, we have removed a lot of non-essential furniture and made other changes to classrooms and the classroom layouts to maximize that distance. Now that is K6. 7 and 8 follow along the same way because, again, my 7th and 8th graders can be cohorted. They are with the same kids all day long. The difference is with the 9th through 12th grade, Because they are not cohorted, because we have multi-grade classes, there is no change to the 9th through 12th grade. That is CDC, and that's if New York State Department of Health and Sullivan County Department of Health adopt the CDC rules. Because we cannot cohort, that leads us to 9th and 12th grade, just basically what we have been doing, fitting in kids when we can, and we will continue with that plan. We are still limiting, non-essential visitors. We are still limiting activities. All visitors are required to wear a mask. We're still doing temperature checks. So everything we have done in September, we are continuing to do. Now regarding transportation. Now transportation, that was a big part of the discussion because of the limit. They wanted every other child seat in between, 3 feet distance and things like that. Public school buses they can have barriers, but they have to be soft. So if you happen to go on a MTA bus or a public transit bus, you might see the hard plastic in between. That's not allowed for elementary, public schools, high school, middle school. It has to be soft. But the problem is with the soft barriers, it does limit some of the visibility for our drivers. So in order to address that, we have also purchased face shields. So the kids will have face shields and masks while riding transit or transportation to and from school. They will also still be grouped with their families. We will space them out as much as possible in order to mitigate COVID-19. Now that it's becoming beautiful weather again, we can open up the windows, so that also helps with the ventilation. And we are, again, working on rerouting buses because that's been the biggest issue, is making sure kids get to school. If parents still want to drive their kids to school, that's great. They can still have that option. And so that was the biggest issues, was transportation, and then we've got to get that PPE in before we can move forward. And even before that, we've got to make sure that New York State Department of Health, Sullivan County Department of Health all decide to change their guidelines. Latest thing I heard is that hopefully New York State Department of Health will update its guidelines by the end of this week. So this is all contingent on New York State.
As I said before, we have a wonderful team at Eldred, and I don't know of any other school district that has as comprehensive a plan as we do. And to have it in motion before we even need it, I think is a testament to the hard work that everybody did. I just want to explain why I'm home. I had an operation on the 22nd of whatever this month is, March. I had to go back. I went in Thursday. I was there until yesterday when they did another operation on my back. And although I'm in a lot of pain, I think they may have fixed it. But don't count me out. I'll be back.
Feel better.
Thank you.
So I have a question. So the 9th through 12th is not coming back?
So the 12th graders, we already offered them to come back every day, so it's still their choice. The 9th and 10th grade, again, if parents have that request, I try to fit them in, but because they're not cohorted, I can't say everybody opened the floodgates, everybody's back.
Okay.
And that's just because we don't keep all the 10th graders together, all the 9th graders together, because they're in multi-grade classrooms. And that's the biggest obstacle.
Stacy, the meeting that you and I virtually sat at, didn't the four say there was something coming down by the end of that week that we sat at? When was that? A month ago? 3 weeks ago?
That was the first week of March.
And we never heard anything, right?
We did not.
So I wouldn't get your hopes up for the end of this week.
That's
just
what
saying.
they have said that's what they said as of this
We
morning.
attended a meeting with all the board presidents and vice presidents virtually.
Yes.
And Bob DeFore was there, and he said that he had planned on something, he had heard something, planned on something was coming down by Friday. I think we were Monday we sat together on it, and I never heard anything. I never got an email from anything. I never heard anything.
No.
Because it was supposed to be about the, if I'm, even if I'm wrong, it was supposed to be at the 6 feet rule, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was 3 weeks ago.
Troy and them are gonna start installing them anyway as if it's gonna go on, so if it does, we'll be ready.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Is there any more discussion on?
We have a question.
Okay.
Question on barriers. Currently, we have K1, 2, and 3 students in class with no barriers. Do we have to add that?
If all of the
And the
students,
more thing is that Bonnie Powell said that she can't hear very well, so we have to speak up.
okay.
Take your mask off.
I'm sorry.
No, it's just easier.
With,
Barriers are not a great idea, but it's the best thing available. Putting a shield on those kids all day, I think it's too confining. So, that was the problem on the bus. Now on a bus, we have a limited space. The drivers, and rightfully so, had a concern about being able to see if the kids were okay. And you'll have that same problem in the classroom. There's going to be a lot more standing, because when you sit down, you can't see any of them.
so
But
the,
it's the best solution in an awful situation.
yes. And also, right now, if all of K1 and 2, and we still have, if we are operating our 6 foot rule with the K1, 2, and 3 third grade students in, then no barriers. We have to have the barriers if we can move down to 3 feet.
Yeah, they won't do it unless you have barriers.
Right.
Did she understand
Meanwhile,
that? Did she hear that?
the county health department struggles with making decisions that in the past they never really made. Because this is not something any of us have ever done. My voice, by the way, is because of anesthesia. When they shove a pipe down your throat, it tends to distort your voice. You can hear me okay though?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
5 by 5.
So is there any other questions from the board for Mrs. Ferreira?
No.
Brings us to public comment on the consent agenda. Any public comment on the agenda?
I have a comment on the agenda. Actually, I see that there is two new administrative positions going in on the consent agenda. One for a Director of Instructional Services position, which has been discussed in the past, and a brand new one I've never seen or heard for until moments ago, of a Director of Technology. Is that administration?
I can explain it. The Director of Instructional Services is something I wanted last year, and we was passed but taken out. That is going to be paid for by grant money. We get grant money to improve student outcomes, and that'll pay, and we have other grants. So there's no district money involved in that. We obviously have to hire a new elementary principal, and that will be at a starting salary. As far as the Director of Technology, as you know, we have one person working 3 days, one person working 2 days. We have Oscar, Dominic. It's a mishmash of everything. I want to have one person in there for 5 days a week. And I think we learned this year how important technology is. It can't be something where people are running around not knowing who's there. Tina will, of course, remain. And the other folks that are currently employed there as BOCES people can put their hat in the ring.
Okay, thank you. My question, is it an administrative position?
Director of Instructional Services?
No.
It's in
Director of Technology.
technology. Yes, that's going to be a individual contract.
Okay, and then I have one other question about this. I was actually under the impression that we were just discussing prom and reopening today, so I was surprised to see the agenda looking as it was. The dissolution of Group ABC from the academic calendar, if we're not going back full-time at the high school, or we don't know that we can. In fact, what I understand from the CDC is that they don't want barriers, they're not required any longer, but they're not in agreement with the New York State Department of Health, so we won't discuss that. But why are we dissolving the ABC group if we still need it in the high school? Or am I not understanding it?
I was not involved in that.
The
Tracy, can you
dissolution,
speak to that?
yeah, the dissolution of the groups would technically just be for the K-8, not for the high school.
Okay, and then I just have one other question about K-8, because we have accelerated eighth grade students who are not in their cohort. So, and I believe there's 10 of them that will be moving throughout the building.
That we are still, and that might be just the only group that is not in full-time, unfortunately, because I can't cohort that small group.
Right. And then the only other thing is the request, so I'll save that for the end. Thank you.
And I just want to add, we finalized 2 contracts recently, the administrators and the teachers. And I think after David Shaw reviews them, we'll be signing those contracts probably soon. That they were settled without any grief, without any hard feelings. And I think both sides came out with what they felt was reasonable. Bonnie, yeah, we want to say anything about the process?
No, it was a pleasure to take part in the process. There was a back and forth conversation. There was a give and take. It was certainly professionally done, and I think the outcome should work well, I hope, for everyone.
And Josh did a great job. He keeps track of things the way nobody else can.
Okay.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Any other public comment there? Nope. All right, brings us to the recommendation action. Ms. Ferrero will be sharing their update plan with the school board for this year's junior-senior class prom. They are asking for the board to approve the plan for junior-senior 2021 prom. You want to elaborate on that?
Yes, so the prom will be at, make sure everybody can hear me. The prom will be at Mountain View Manor on May 15th, and it's 6 to 9 p.m. We are planning on having the promenade from 5 to 5:30. We have also, for the students, it is only Eldred students, no outside students, and double masks have to be worn. Students and parents do have to sign a waiver of informed consent about participating in the prom, and this is the same informed consent form waiver that students also sign to participate in sports. And you know, the contract is for Mountain View Manor. It was last year's contract. We renegotiated for this year. It has been signed, so we just want to make sure that the board approves our prom. And I know the students are looking forward to it, seeing lots of prom dresses. They're asking me about, with their double masks, can one of the masks be bedazzled to match their dress? So they are definitely looking forward to the event.
Yeah, it's another degree of normalcy. It's comforting to have a routine.
Yes.
You need a special vote on that, Lisa? Okay.
I have a question. Does that mean that we're good to go with prom? Like, there doesn't have to be a certain number of attendees?
Right now, because we're following, I guess, the wedding rule, and we've got the largest room, and at half capacity, it's more than our students. So we are good with capacity, we are good with the venue, and we're still way under the wedding rule.
Is the venue okay with lower attendance if that is the
Yes.
case? Okay.
Because they have to follow the same rules. Even if they were trying to get a large wedding, they would still have to follow.
Okay. And promenade is going to be 5 to 5:30 at the high school?
Yes.
When I called the health department told me that's decided by the venue. So I think we're good to go.
Is the promenade open to everybody or just parents?
I think we could open it to everybody.
That's fine by
With
me.
masks, social
I
distancing.
just wanted to make sure that was clear
Absolutely.
before, you know.
I'm looking forward to it because I've never experienced promenade.
Oh, yeah? They've had it here as long as I can remember. Any other questions? All right, brings me to approval of consent items. Motion to approve consent items 401 through 602.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Second. Made motion by Stacy, second by Nancy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Kristen?
Aye.
Hey.
Woo!
Public comment on anything. Public comment.
I have something, once again, it's Bonnie Padua. I'm sorry to be the stick in the mud here, but we lost our business department. We have no business program whatsoever. Bob Liefernich and Jolene Porter did a great job. When they left, they weren't replaced. We have no business classes, no marketing, no management, nothing. We lost our reading teacher. We lost our computer graphics award-winning, not just in Sullivan County, but in the entire area. We lost our guidance teacher, and socio-emotional piece of this COVID thing is very big. We lost our chorus teacher. We lost a part-time PE place. We lost a person who did the programming for all of our STAR and our Castle Learning and all of that. We've lost a lot of educators in the last number of years. I wish that we could think about replacing them. I know administration is important as well, but I asked the board and I asked the administration to please keep in mind that education of the students in various ways is important, not just the core, but all of it.
There are two things we need desperately. And I talked to the board about it. I've talked to the principals about it. And I talked to Caleb about it. We have to see where the money's gonna come from. But we need a guidance counselor in the elementary, and we need a guidance counselor added to the high school. That, I think, is the number one priority. Then you're right, we need to get back into, if we find somebody that can do it, the graphic part of our program. Well, we're in agreement. We just have to see how things pan out. We have a lot of time to add those. I don't want to sink the ship. We're doing well. So, with Caleb's insight, we should be able to do something.
I do want to point out, I don't know if it was made clear with the director of technology, that is not something that's replacing the multiple BOCES contractors we have. So that is not something that we're adding that's going to take away from anything. That is the BOCES bill has skyrocketed up to almost over $120,000 for all the different tech people we have. So we're consolidating that.
So what's the difference going to be by hiring somebody to be here every day compared to what we're
It's
paying
going to be
now?
a similar price.
So we're not spending
That
any more money.
I just wanted to point that out on
Right.
the director of technology, that we're not taking that away from educational initiatives, and there should be money in the future for educational initiatives. That's a superintendent, board, and principals will discuss where they're going to put it. And of course, I'm sure the teachers will be in on that. That's not my area, but
Pretty much.
money-wise, we haven't spent all of the money
Caleb,
that we're getting from these areas.
I can't hear Caleb.
All right, come on over here, kid.
Yeah, sorry, I gotta speak up. I was, you know, at home, everybody tells me I'm so loud, so I just feel like everybody can hear me. I just wanted to point out for the director of technology one, that position, that is replacing all of those different BOCES people. We won't have any of that, and that number had gone up to $128,000 altogether for all of the different BOCES people we had. So that's not taking away any funding from education, and there will be additional money that in terms of where we spend it educationally. That's something that's going to have to get discussed, of course, with the superintendent, and I'm sure he's going to talk to you, Bonnie, as well. But we have not spent all of the compressor station money. To speak to Dr. Morgano's point, he just didn't want to go crazy on the spending right away and like he said, sink the ship. But the director of technology is not new money at all.
So it sounds like neither position is adding any new money. So the one is being funded by grants and the other is being funded by the fact that however many people we had.
Consolidated.
Right, yeah.
And so when we start looking at the new money, the 1.5 million that we're getting that's being earmarked for socio-emotional and being earmarked for the lag in student learning is being earmarked by the federal government as it comes down, is not to be supplanted, but is supposed to supplement our federal, our state aid, then we should be able to look at rebuilding program.
Yeah, and that's something that money has not been, no plan has been made for that money yet. And that grant, by the way, is not any of this grant money. This is largely coming out of the title
Bonnie,
improvement grant.
I have to say, you're right. Remember what I say, never proceed ahead of the data. We have to wait and see what we have, because we not only have to be sure we can pay for it this year and the year after, but going down the road. I don't want to create something that has to be taken apart in 2 years.
Thank you for your time.
Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because we were just moving from BOCES to here.
Hold on, with the business office, by what we were spending at BOCES to what we brought it back here for, what was the difference? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I remember somewhere's around.
Well, it was supposed to be 40,000 more, but it's actually turning out to be less.
Face that way.
It didn't cost. It was going to be $40,000 more, but it looks like next year I'll spend about $25,000 less overall on the business office by bringing it back here. And I think the teachers will agree that the girls that we have are much better than I am at processing orders. So it's worked out well so far in terms of being a little more efficient in getting people's orders and things like that.
Not spending a ton of money.
It's definitely more appropriate for a small rural school district to have a business office where somebody can go down to the office and ask a question and get an answer.
But yeah, no, it ended up costing less. I was thinking it would cost a little bit more, but even after 8, it looks like about $25,000 less
Nice.
for the total thing.
Very good.
Well done.
Worked out nice.
Guys, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Have the teachers had a chance to go over their contract? All of the teachers?
Don't know.
I don't know.
And, I mean, let's face it, they're the ones that are with the kids all day. They're the meat and potatoes of the district, so.
I can't put the contract that we've talked about out to the teachers until the district finalizes it. And I believe we're waiting on the district attorney to say yes or no before we can give it to the teachers to ratify or not.
Correct.
Yep, we're
Okay.
still working on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to make sure if David finds errors or has suggestions, you don't want to, it'll confuse the heck out of the people.
Okay.
But everybody has the right to read what they're going to sign on to.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
We won't approve that until it's ratified, correct?
Well, we can't.
Yeah.
They gotta have a vote on it.
They have to vote on
Well,
it. They have to
you
vote.
already said yes to it. So when David Shaw says it's good to go, we'll clean it up and then the board will vote on it at the next meeting.
He does have it.
Okay.
I just have one comment in agreement to that comment, is that they say that they agree with Connie on the art and business program, and someone agreed to that as well. Those are the comments that are here.
Okay.
I didn't hear any of that.
2 comments that they agreed with Bonnie on what she was talking about.
I agree too.
Any other discussion, public comment? Next meeting will be held, regular meeting, budget adoption and BOCES vote on the Tuesday, April 20th, 2021, junior, senior high school at 6 p.m. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Stacy made a motion,
I'll second it.
Nancy seconded. There's no need to go into executive session, so everybody have a good night. We'll see you next week.
You too.
I think it's next week, right?
Good night.
Good night.
Feel better, Dr. Morgano?
No, it's not next week.